One, my wife, the renowned movie queen Victoria Somerset, and I were invited guests on a popular talent show. Just before the show began, Victoria suddenly stood up and announced, "Ancient, I'm investing $100 million to launch the newcomer I have my eye on." Everyone knew this newcomer, Ethan Riley, was essentially her boy toy. The announcement sent shockwaves through the venue. Gasps and murmurs of disbelief filled the air. I sat in the audience, watching coolly, a bitter taste in my mouth. Then my gaze fell upon a girl standing alone in the shadows of the stage wings. She looked lost, her eyes filled with uncertainty and helplessness. Seeing the audience and judges seemingly ready to dismiss all other contestants because of my wife's bombshell, I calmly rose to my feet. Pointing towards the girl, I declared loudly, "Whatever amount you invest, I'll double it. I'm backing her all the way." My words ignited the room. The audience erupted, whispering and speculating amongst themselves. "Oh, who is this guy? How dare he challenge movie queen Somerset? Tatia, $100 million is no small sum. Doubling it means $200 million. Where does he get off?" Confusion etched on every face. All eyes turned to me. Victoria's perfectly made-up face was now clouded with fury. Her eyes blazed as she snapped at me, "Sincere Clark, you're just a producer at an entertainment company. You spend the money I earn. What right do you have to compete with me?" I remained seated, looking at her impassively. "So Victoria, at the very least I am your husband. Is this how you speak to me? But besides," I added coolly, "oh, you're the star I made. Without me, would you be the movie queen standing here today?" Victoria's face flushed crimson. "Haven't I told you never to reveal our relationship in public? Con, you're nothing but a dog I feed." She spat, her words dripping with contempt. "If it weren't for me, your precious entertainment company would have gone bankrupt long ago. My choices have nothing to do with you. What gives you the right to challenge me?" Her words were merciless. I stared hard at her. "Are you really going to throw everything away for this kept man?" Truthfully, I'd sensed something was wrong from the beginning of the show's filming. Rumors about Victoria and the young actor, Ethan Riley, had been swirling for weeks, yet she never bothered to deny them. As her husband, I felt I owed her basic trust, convincing myself it was just publicity, that her heart was still with me. But then came the undeniable truth. Victoria had brought Ethan to her film set, caught studying scripts late into the night together. The thought of the metaphorical horns she'd placed on my head made my blood boil. Victoria, however, remained oblivious, doubling down relentlessly. "And I'm the movie queen. I'll promote whoever I want. It's not your place to interfere. And I'm telling you right now." Her voice turned sharp and piercing, cutting through the studio buzz. "Son, I am going to make Ethan Riley a star. I'll spend whatever it takes." Before I could react, Ethan Riley himself stepped forward on stage, microphone in hand. He shot me a provocative look. "And Mr. Clark, I suggest you give up. After all, if Victoria gets angry and leaves your company, you'll be bankrupt, left with nothing." He paused, then let out a laugh. "And getting ahead by latching onto a woman, you should know how to grovel, right? So you'd better apologize to Victoria quickly." Ethan's taunt drew laughter from the audience. Even the host, Daniel Evans, couldn't suppress a smirk. Unfazed, I simply asked, "On so, from the sound of it, you're absolutely certain you'll be the one launched today?" Ethan's eyes dripped with contempt. He deliberately flashed the matching couple's ring on his left hand, identical to Victoria's. "Mr. Clark, you're just a producer from some minor entertainment company. How can you possibly compete with Victoria? Once Victoria is willing to spend $100 million on me, plus countless resources at my disposal. Can you even compare?" I lifted my head, looking directly at the posturing clown before me. "Well, you're mistaken. In this entertainment industry, there's no one I can't make famous. Since I could turn Victoria Somerset into a movie queen, I can certainly create another one." This declaration sparked another round of derision from the crowd. Oh my God, this guy is full of it. Who would even know who he is without movie queen Somerset? Exactly, got a little boost from her and now he thinks he's some big shot. The surrounding mockery continued, but it didn't affect me in the slightest, because everything I said was true. If I hadn't been trying to protect Victoria's reputation all this time, I could have proudly stated that without my resources, she'd still be giving foot massages in some dingy parlor. Seeing my silence, Ethan's smirk widened almost unbearably. Still trying to keep up appearances? No money, no power, yet acting like a tycoon. Do you really think you're some prince of the entertainment world? So if you give up now, take back what you just said, I can let it slide, save you some face. Before Ethan could finish, I pointed again to the girl in the corner. Cole said I'm giving up. I'm spending $200 million to launch her. Money and resources? I have plenty. Ethan's sneer intensified. He yelled, "To, big talk, 200 million like it's pocket change. Do you think we're all 3-year-olds, easily fooled?" The audience buzz grew louder, most adopting a wait-and-see attitude, eager to watch me crash and burn. Ignoring their skepticism, I walked directly towards the girl in the wings. I could now clearly see her name tag, Ava Beaumont. Ava's eyes were wide with panic and helplessness. I gently patted her shoulder. "Do you believe you can become the next movie queen?" I asked softly. "And if you're willing, I can make it happen." Ava trembled slightly, a spark igniting in her eyes. "Oh, Boss Clark, can I really?" I nodded firmly. "Oh, trust me, you have the talent." Victoria had regained her composure by now. She stepped forward, a cold smile playing on her lips. "When Sincere Clark, have you made enough of a scene? Trying to show off here, making a fool of yourself? If you really had $200 million, would you need to be arguing with me like this?" I looked at the haughty Victoria. Since she was willing to burn our bridges for a pretty boy, I decided there was no need to protect her dignity any longer. I gestured towards Ethan on stage. "My bid is already 200 million. Don't tell me you can't even match that, so you're trying to get me to back down?" My words hit a nerve. Victoria's face turned ashen. She gritted her teeth. "Then Sincere Clark, don't push your luck. 200 million is nothing to me. A mere drop in the ocean since you insist on opposing me. Fine, I'll play along. I'm now offering 300 million for Ethan. Let's see how you compete with that." Ethan stood beside her, beaming with smug satisfaction. He tilted his chin up, speaking to me in a deliberately grating tone. "Did you hear that, Mr. Clark? Victoria has plenty of money. Stop pretending. Just admit defeat quickly. Don't embarrass yourself further." I let out a cold snort and replied decisively, 300 million? I bid 400 million, and let me make this clear today. I am launching this girl, guaranteed. My voice was firm and resonated through the recording hall. The audience went absolutely wild. People stood up shouting, "What's this guy's background? He's seriously tough, really, going head-to-head with the movie queen, If he's really dropping 400 million, that's insane." The atmosphere crackled with excitement. Everyone eagerly awaited the next move in this high-stakes spending war. Victoria was trembling with rage. She pointed a shaking finger at me. "Sincere Clark, are you crazy? Do you think money grows on trees?" I calmly retorted, "Victoria, who's the crazy one here? You're willing to destroy our relationship for a boy toy, throwing money around like this. Are you really that afraid I'll make someone else famous?" Seeing Victoria's fury, Ethan quickly tried to soothe her. "Victoria, don't waste your breath on him. He's broke, just bluffing. Let's keep raising the price, see how long he can last." Victoria took a deep breath, trying to regain control, and announced loudly, "Fine, you think you have money? I bid 500 million. Without hesitation, I responded, 6 million. Each bid landed like a heavy hammer blow on the audience's senses. They were completely captivated by the frenzied auction, their gazes darting between Victoria and me, eyes filled with shock. 7 million. Victoria shouted. 800 million, I countered instantly. As the price climbed relentlessly, a flicker of panic finally entered Victoria's eyes. But pride and her commitment to Ethan made her grit her teeth and persist. The entire studio seemed frozen, everyone absorbed in this breathtaking confrontation. Ethan's expression also turned ugly. He glanced at Victoria, a hint of unease crossing his face. Victoria bit her lower lip, almost screaming the next number. "Pi 9 million mundon 1 billion don," I yelled the figure with all the strength I could muster. The words dropped like a bomb. The entire place exploded. Audience members jumped to their feet, mouths agape, unable to believe their ears. The host, Daniel Evans, was so stunned he almost dropped his microphone. Victoria stood rooted to the spot, her eyes vacant. She seemed unable to comprehend that I would truly fight her to this extent for a complete stranger. Sensing the tide turning, Ethan frantically yelled to the audience and the production team, "Don't let him fool you. He keeps saying he can produce $1 billion, but who knows if he's bluffing. I demand the show verify his funds. Let's put an end to this farce." Ethan's words seemed to give Victoria renewed resolve. Her eyes hardened with certainty. Exactly, he's just a producer from a small-time company. How could he possibly have $1 billion? To ensure fairness and stop him from making empty boasts, the production team must verify his assets immediately. I want to see if he really has the capability. This unexpected twist whipped the audience into an even greater frenzy. Shouts for immediate verification erupted, plunging the studio into chaos. Ethan and Victoria thought they had me cornered. They believed I was all talk, that I couldn't possibly produce such a sum, and my relentless bidding was just a desperate bluff. Ethan sidled up intimately to Victoria, shooting me a mocking look. "Here's some friendly advice. If you admit right now that you're a liar, you might save some face. Once the verification proves you wrong, you won't be able to climb down from this." I remained seated, watching the seemingly devoted couple on stage, completely unfazed. "And what if I can produce $1 billion? Are you two willing to make a bet? If I really have $1 billion, Victoria divorces me and walks away with absolutely nothing, and quits the entertainment industry for good." Ethan leaned closer to Victoria, his eyes darting around calculatingly. He whispered urgently, "Victoria, this is a golden opportunity, and there's no way he has that kind of money. When he's exposed, not only will he be utterly humiliated, but you'll finally be rid of him. Then we can be together openly." Victoria hesitated for a moment, but seeing Ethan's confident expression, she hardened her resolve. A look of finality crossed her face. "I accept your bet. If you can really produce $1 billion, I'll divorce you immediately, leave with nothing, and retire from showbiz, but if you can't, you get down on your knees and apologize to me and Ethan." Her declaration caused another uproar. The audience gasped at the sheer audacity of the wager, a wave of murmurs sweeping through the room. "Kneel and apologize. Movie Queen Somerset is ruthless. That's how you deal with guys like him, humiliate them completely. Is it just me, or does anyone else feel like he might actually have $1 billion?" Speculation flew back and forth as all eyes shifted between Victoria and me, eagerly awaiting the outcome. Left with no choice, the production team announced a 40-minute suspension of filming to conduct the verification. During the wait, the tension in the studio was palpable. Victoria and Ethan stood together. Ethan looked smug, occasionally shooting provocative glances my way, clearly envisioning my imminent public disgrace. Victoria, however, looked complex. Though she tried to appear calm, her slightly trembling hands betrayed her underlying anxiety. I simply sat aside, eyes closed, appearing perfectly serene. Time flew by. Soon, the head of the production team, Mr. Harrison, hurried back onto the stage, clutching a thick report. He cleared his throat, his expression grave. In a loud, clear voice, he announced, "After a rigorous and thorough verification process, We can formally confirm that Mr. Sincere Clark does indeed possess the financial capability to produce $1 billion in liquid assets on short notice. The smiles froze on Victoria's and Ethan's faces. Their eyes widened in utter disbelief. Victoria staggered back a step, her voice trembling. That's impossible. How could you have so much money? Ethan panicked. Is there a mistake? Mr. Harrison, are you sure? Did he bribe you? He stammered. In an instant, the studio erupted as if a bomb had gone off. The audience leaped to their feet, a mixture of cheers and applause thundering through the hall. Someone shouted, "Incredible, he actually did it. The movie Queen Somerset really lost big this time." Victoria and Ethan stood frozen, as if struck by lightning. Victoria's face turned deathly pale. She swayed, nearly collapsing. She stared at me, unable to believe it, her lips trembling, utterly speechless. Ethan's expression was even more dramatic, shifting instantly from smug confidence to sheer terror. He opened his mouth trying to say something, but his throat seemed constricted, unable to produce a sound. I slowly stood up and walked towards Victoria. "Now," I said calmly, "it's time to honor the bet." At that moment, the host Daniel Evans added, "Sent movie Queen Somerset. According to the rules of our show, the contestant with the highest level of support secures the debut spot. All resources pledged during the bidding are allocated to develop the winner's career. Therefore, not only Mr. Clark's $1 billion, but also your $900 million must be transferred to the winner, Ava Beaumont." Hearing this, Victoria's already pale face turned a ghastly shade of green. Her eyes flew wide in disbelief as she stared at the host. "What? How can that be? That's my money. Why should I give it to her?" Ethan, snapping back to reality, jumped in, shouting, "Production team, your rules are unreasonable. This is basically cheating, Victoria." Daniel Evans looked uncomfortable, and the rules were announced before the competition began, and everyone was aware of them, he explained. "Furthermore, this is a live broadcast. We must adhere to the rules to ensure fairness and transparency." For after the show ended, Victoria looked like a zombie. Amidst the pitying and curious stares of the staff, she allowed Ethan to numbly guide her out of the recording hall. As for me, after handling the media interviews alongside Ava Beaumont, I headed towards the parking lot. Just as I reached my car, I heard a sharp cry from behind Sincere Clark. I turned around to see Victoria, her face contorted with anger, running towards me. She stopped right in front of me, demanding hysterically, "Why? How could you have so much money? Who are you?" I looked at the woman before me, blinded by greed and vanity, the architect of her own downfall, and felt a wave of disgust. "Have you ever heard of the Clark family from Hong Kong?" I asked calmly. "I'm from that Clark family. Dabbling in the entertainment industry was just a hobby for me." Seeing the dawning horror in Victoria's eyes, I continued, "All these years you thought I was just an ordinary producer. Every time I suggested taking you home to meet my parents, you made excuses. Hong Kong was too far. It would interfere with your career, hinder your development. Did it ever occur to you," I pressed, "that if I didn't possess substantial power, how could I possibly have plucked you from obscurity and turned you into a movie queen?" Victoria began to tremble violently, her eyes filled with regret and utter disbelief. The Clark family held immense influence in both business and entertainment, their empire spanning countless industries. Even the scraps falling from their table were enough to launch any newcomer in the entertainment world into superstardom. "No, it's not true. You're lying. How could you be the Clark family heir all these years? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Victoria clutched her head, unable to accept the reality. Ethan had caught up by then. Hearing my words, his face instantly drained of color. His legs buckled and he almost collapsed. He finally understood the monumental stupidity of his provocations. He had antagonized someone of immense power. I shot them both a cold glance and turned to leave. Seeing me walk away, Victoria lunged forward and grabbed my arm. "Sincere, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Let's not get divorced. Please give me another chance. I'll make it up to you. I swear I can cut off all ties with Ethan completely, she pleaded desperately, tears streaming down her face. I let out a cold laugh, cutting her off mercilessly. On chance? When you were tearing me down on that talent show for Ethan's sake, did you ever think about giving me a chance? You keep saying you regret it, but do you even realize what you did wrong? A flicker of panic crossed Victoria's face. She opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. And let me ask you this, I continued relentlessly. If I were just an ordinary producer without the Clark family background, without immense wealth, would you and Ethan have just walked all over me? In your eyes, I was just a tool for your ambition, a stepping stone for your vanity. Tears welled in Victoria's eyes as she tried to defend herself. No, Sincere, I truly loved you. I was just momentarily foolish. I looked at this hypocritical woman. Loved me? You love power and status. You don't regret hurting me. You're just scared. Scared of losing the spotlight. Scared of becoming a laughingstock only when you learned the truth. Did you remember my good qualities? That's not love, Victoria. That's selfishness. Victoria started shaking uncontrollably, tears finally breaking free. Sincere, I admit I was vain and stupid, but I've really changed now. Please believe me. I turned my face away, unwilling to look at her any longer. And Victoria, the past cannot be changed. The moment you made your choice, there was no going back for us. You need to live with your decisions. 5. After the live broadcast fiasco, Victoria and Ethan became the butt of jokes throughout the entertainment industry because Victoria failed to pay the $900 million as per the show's rules and didn't retire as she'd wagered. Related hashtags trended relentlessly online. Every comment felt like a sharp needle pricking Victoria's pride. She couldn't even bear to look at entertainment news on her phone. Whenever she tried, her screen was flooded with discussions about the live show. Every word mocking her foolishness and vanity. When the movie queen actually lost her head over a pretty boy serves her right, tried to gain something but lost everything. And guess love made her blind, didn't even know her own worth. Reading these comments, Victoria felt a surge of rage rush to her head. Her hands trembled with anger and humiliation. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. With a loud crack, she hurled her phone against the wall, shattering the screen. But even then, the piercing sounds of mockery echoed relentlessly in her mind. While Victoria wallowed in anger and despair, my legal team found her with the divorce papers. When the lawyer presented the agreement, panic flickered in Victoria's eyes, quickly replaced by unbridled fury. "Impossible, I don't agree," she shrieked, clenching her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. Sincere Clark, how dare he? She had always believed I was just a producer clinging to her coattails for relevance. She never dreamed I was the heir to the powerful Clark family. The thought filled her with bitter regret, but it was far too late. The moment the divorce papers were signed, Victoria and I were officially over. Although I didn't use my family's connections to explicitly blacklist her, the entertainment industry is notoriously fickle, always favoring the powerful and abandoning the fallen. Word quickly spread that Victoria had lost her powerful backing. Within days, her endorsements vanished like snowflakes in summer. Film roles, variety show appearances, all previously secured opportunities evaporated without a trace. Her pipeline of projects dried up completely, leaving her without substantial work for a long time. Desperate to earn money and stage a comeback, Victoria agreed to appear on a notoriously snarky celebrity talk show. The live broadcast began on schedule. Victoria walked onto the stage with a practiced smile, but the studio audience was noticeably cold. Trying to energize the room after a brief introduction, the host, Daniel Evans, deliberately raised his voice. "Welcome, Victoria Somerset, the former movie queen everyone certainly remembers your dramatic performance on the talent show Synopsis," he continued, leaning in. "On that show, you went head-to-head with Boss Clark to support contestant Ethan Riley, only to lose spectacularly. Looking back now, any thoughts?" A wave of laughter rippled through the audience. Victoria's face instantly drained of color, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. The online comments started scrolling frantically. A movie queen Somerset actually dares to show her face? Did she ever pay back the $900 million? Lost her sugar daddy and still thinks she can hang around in showbiz? Victoria's smile froze, her anger finally boiling over. But the host pressed on relentlessly, went after offending boss Clark. We hear your resources dried up, you can't even get minor roles. Do you regret being so blind back then? Victoria snapped. She shot up from her chair, her eyes red-rimmed, and yelled, "Oh, enough, you're deliberately humiliating me." She glared fiercely at the host and the surrounding guests, then turned and stormed off the stage. Hashtags like Victoria walks off and former Queen Soroloser instantly dominated trending topics. Online commenters celebrated her downfall, and as arrogant as she was before, that's how pathetic she is now. Is karma still hoping for a comeback? Dream on. So wow, blew $900 million failing to launch her boy toy, ruined her own reputation, and now humiliates herself further. Furious, Victoria returned to her agency office. Her agent, Marcus Cole, rushed in, his face etched with anxiety and helplessness. "Victoria," he began carefully, "everyone in the industry knows about your divorce from Sincere Clark. People are wary of his family's power, so—" He paused, gauging her reaction. "Offending Sincere Clark makes things incredibly difficult for us in this business. You might still have the movie queen title, looking glamorous on the surface, but if this continues, you really won't get any work at all." Victoria exploded, sweeping a pile of documents off her desk onto the floor. "Why do they dare humiliate me like this?" she raged. "What's so great about Sincere Clark? Without him, I, Victoria Somerset, can still reach the top again." Marcus tried to reason with her, but Victoria impatiently waved him away, dismissing him from the room. Defiant, her nails digging into her palms, Victoria swore fiercely to herself. "Sincere Clark, just you wait, I, Victoria Somerset, will absolutely not go down. Like this, I will make a comeback and prove I don't need you." Soon, news broke about a major film production with a top-tier creative team. Starring in it could be the key to reviving her career. This news felt like a lifeline, and Victoria clung to it tightly. She immediately rushed to the audition. Leveraging years of acting experience, she managed to beat out numerous competitors and secure the lead female role. However, the very next day, upon arriving at the film set, she was met with a crushing blow. Her role had been recast. Victoria had reigned supreme in the entertainment world for years, accustomed to snatching roles from others, never suffering such indignity herself. She stormed up to the crew leader, Mr. Davies, demanding hysterically, "Toe pulled strings behind my back. No one can play this role better than me." When Victoria kicked open the door to the very important person lounge, she saw me sitting comfortably with Ava Beaumont, chatting amiably with the director, Mr. Peterson. Understanding dawned instantly. Victoria charged towards me, yelling, "Sincere Clark, you'd even steal my role for this woman?" I chuckled softly, replying calmly, "Victoria, this industry is about survival of the fittest. You failed to hold on to your opportunity. You can't blame anyone else." Victoria refused to listen, convinced I had used my influence to manipulate the casting. "I don't believe anyone else is qualified for this role besides me." At this point, the director interrupted her outburst. "Victoria, the decision to recast was made after careful consideration. We believe Ava Beaumont is a better fit for the character." Shortly after, Ava began her screen test. Victoria stood aside, arms crossed, face dripping with scorn. She remained supremely confident in her own abilities, but as Ava's performance deepened, capturing nuances Victoria hadn't considered, Victoria's expression slowly froze. Ava's interpretation was unique. Her every glance, smile, and gesture brought the character vividly to life. The director's eyes shone with admiration, and the crew members couldn't help but applaud. Watching Ava completely immersed in the role, Victoria had to admit, in that moment she had been thoroughly outshone. That evening, the production team held a celebratory dinner. The director and other actors offered toasts, and I inevitably had a few drinks. Stepping outside for some fresh air, I found Victoria waiting by the door. Seeing me, her eyes lit up, and she hurried over. "Sincere, I knew I'd find you here." Her voice was soft, tinged with a hint of pleading. "I've done a lot of thinking lately. I know everything you've done recently. It was just you being angry with me." She reached out, attempting to touch my arm. "If you just make Ava Beaumont disappear from your life, I can forgive and forget everything. We can go back to how things were, okay?" I stepped back, avoiding her touch, my gaze icy. "Victoria, what makes you possibly think we could ever go back?" My rejection made her face flush, then pale. "No, Ava is just a tool you're using to provoke me. You've made your point. I have nothing to do with Ethan Riley anymore. I promise I'll be good to you from now on." I couldn't believe she dared to mention Ethan Riley. Memories flooded back: her blatant affair, her public humiliation of me at the talent show. Each memory was a sharp stab to my heart. "Victoria, do you still not understand? I'm supporting Ava not to spite you, but because she genuinely has talent and deserves to be seen. Owens for you," my voice hardened, "and threw away our relationship for Ethan, trampled on our marriage with your own 2 feet. What right do you have now to ask me to return to the past, when you hurt me again and again, disregarded our feelings? Do you really take me for a fool you can manipulate at will?" My words were blunt, stripping away her pretense. Victoria swayed, looking utterly drained. She opened her mouth to say something more, but I had no desire to hear any more excuses. I turned to leave. "Sincere," Victoria cried out, her voice laced with desperation. "So truly know I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance." I paused but didn't turn back. "Victoria, there's no going back for us. What's past is past. Forever." 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The entertainment landscape had shifted dramatically. Under my careful guidance, Ava Beaumont had blossomed into a dazzling star, shining brightly in the film industry. At the highly anticipated Film Festival Awards ceremony, the host, Daniel Evans, announced that Ava Beaumont had won the Bunun Best Actress an award for her outstanding performance in the film On Path to Dawn, making her the youngest movie queen in history. Ava, stunning in a black evening gown, stood on stage, tears of joy shimmering in her eyes. The audience erupted in thunderous applause that seemed to go on forever. Under the brilliant spotlights, Ava held the golden trophy, her posture elegant. Her gaze swept across the crowd, finally locking onto mine, her eyes sparkling. "Standing here on this glorious stage," she began, her voice clear as the applause subsided, growing more earnest. "I have so much I want to say. But most importantly, I want to make my truest confession to you, Sincere Clark. And do you remember that day at the talent show?" she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "You stepped forward and chose me so firmly. In that moment, you were like a beam of light piercing through my bleak world, illuminating not just my path but my heart. From that instant, I knew I'd fallen for you." Ava gently bit her lip. "Under your guidance and support, I overcame every obstacle to reach this point. Now, finally, I am a movie queen, and I feel I have the confidence. Sincere, I no longer want to stand beside you merely as someone you've helped. Please, give me a chance to stand with you as your partner, your equal. I want to spend all the coming years side by side with you. Will you let me?" All eyes in the hall swung between Ava and me. Then, an even more fervent wave of applause and cheers broke out. Amidst the deafening ovation, the spotlight found me. I stood up and walked steadily towards the stage, each step firm and deliberate. Reaching her side, I took her hand, interlacing our fingers. Together we raised the trophy that represented her immense hard work and dreams. The medal felt warm, mirroring the rapid beat of our hearts. I looked deeply into her eyes. "And I always believed in your limitless potential, Ava. And over these years I've fallen deeply for your dedication, your kindness, your purity. For the rest of my life I want to be with you, through every sunrise and sunset, celebrating more triumphs and facing every challenge together. On the audience went wild. Camera flashes popped relentlessly, capturing this romantic moment for eternity. Ava's tears flowed freely now. In the dreamlike glow of the stage lights, we held each other tightly. For the rest of our lives, I whispered, we'll never be apart. Meanwhile, hidden in an obscure corner of the venue, Victoria Somerset stared intently at the large screen broadcasting the ceremony. Her eyes swirled with a toxic mix of regret, jealousy, and bitterness. The Victoria of today was a shadow of her former self. Having lost everything, resources, connections, status, she was forced to take bit parts in low-budget productions, sometimes struggling even to make ends meet. As for Ethan Riley, the man for whom she'd sacrificed everything, he had abandoned her as soon as she lost her fortune, reportedly finding another wealthy benefactor. After the awards ceremony, driven by some strange impulse, Victoria found herself wandering in the gardens outside the venue. She lingered in the shadows, replaying the memories of the happiness she had single-handedly destroyed. Regret washed over her like a suffocating tide. If only she could turn back time, she would have cherished the person who had truly cared for her. Just then, Ava and I walked into the garden, talking and laughing together. Seeing us, Victoria froze. She wanted to turn and flee, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. I noticed her presence and paused. Ava followed my gaze and, with quiet understanding, waited for me just outside the garden entrance. Victoria's voice trembled, her eyes red-rimmed. I truly regret everything. These past few years, I've been living in hell, paying for my mistakes every single day. She began to sob quietly. I know nothing can be undone, but I still wanted to tell you face to face. I'm sorry. I looked at Victoria. The anger and resentment I once felt were long gone. 3 years had been enough time to heal and move on. Victoria, what's past is past, I said, my voice calm. Everyone has to live with the consequences of their choices. I hope you can find a way to live a better life from now on. With that, I turned, took Ava's waiting hand, and walked away without looking back. Victoria watched our retreating figures, tears blurring her vision. She finally understood with painful clarity that everything was irrevocably lost. It was a reality entirely of her own making, leaving her alone to spend the rest of her life drowning in endless regret.